buddy the other day. He's a guy that I went to high school with. Man, when we were kids, we used to skip school to work on our cars, and it wasn't like we were tweaking the engines or doing any kind of performance work. We were adding speakers and amplifiers, as many as we could fit, as many as we could power until we'd either blow a fuse or something would catch on fire. Then when we got it working, we'd take them out to the beach, and we never got out of our cars at the beach. We'd just cruise up and down the beach with our systems booming. Oh man, out of high school, we both got trades. He became a plumber and got a really good job with his uncle, I think it was, or his stepdad. And I joined the union, IBEW 606 in Orlando, and became an electrician. Gosh, amazing when I look back and think about how much has changed, how much is different. And I was talking to my buddy the other day. Every once in a while we catch up whenever we can, and we were just on the phone grabbing a quick chat, reminiscing. And I asked him, "Hey man, how you doing?" His response, "Living the dream." Living the dream. And I'm like, what dream are you living, homie? Hanging out in like plumbing, hanging out in bathrooms and hanging out in lift stations and hanging out under sinks? But I'm sure you've heard it before, haven't you? Living the dream. And I'm not trying to say that. Maybe he does believe that's living the dream, but I know him well enough to think that if he were really living the dream, he'd be off fishing somewhere and not sweating his ass off in some new construction, digging out trenches for pipe. But I could be wrong. Anyways, today we're going to talk about that idea of living the dream. And look, maybe you are not living your dream right now. Maybe you're chasing it, but it's not working out. Maybe you are running out of energy trying to pursue this dream. And maybe it all comes down to getting the wrong advice. And that's really what we're going to explore today. So what I have for you is, as usual, surprise, surprise, I got my 3-step framework, right? 3 things that we're going to talk about today. Listen, look, and live. So let's jump in. You guys know I like to experiment. I like to try new things. I like to get out of my comfort zone. And if you want to grow, that's what you have to do. You have to get out of your comfort zone, try new things, and find out what stretches you, what makes you grow, what makes you better. Because that is the only way you will live a fulfilled life, is if you're constantly improving, constantly getting better, always striving to do better one way or another. And before I jump into this, I want to remind you of something, because this is one of the things that I've struggled with so much in my life. And sometimes when we're talking about striving and doing better and achieving, we might have the tendency to look outside, look at other people, look at your friends or your family or your coworkers, and compare yourself to them. And really, to live a life of constant improvement, and you've heard this before, and I'll say it again because it's that important, you have to be comparing to yourself. So whatever it is, you are the baseline, and you're always trying to get better and create a new base. I think I've been studying stock charts too much now. Anyways, back to what we were saying. If you're constantly striving to get better, chances are that you do look around for good influences. Like, I've got a whole library of books back here, got audio courses, got plenty of training on my hard drive and on the cloud. And I'm sure you do too, because you wouldn't be listening to me right now if you weren't that kind of person that was always trying to get better. But one of my favorite guys, and I've talked about him on the show before. The guy, he's known as the what do they call him now? I think he's got a new title. He's the king of the one email workday, Mr. Ben Settle. I've done a couple hundred shows together. You can find him over at the Podcast Factory. He is a super productive guy. He's got a great business. He's got a newsletter, and last I heard, he's got about 500 subscribers at about $100 a month, and that's just one of his gigs. And he really does. He's a powerful email writer, one of the best in the world, if not the best. Even though I don't read his emails anymore, because I've worked with him for so long, I'm like, how much, Ben, can you take? But I admire this guy. I admire his business. I like what he's doing. And he is one of the most insanely productive people we know. In fact, Cupcake loved working with him because he was always, the guy never missed a deadline. He was always ahead. He was always coming up with new ideas. He was always delivering. And so I like that. And I'm thinking, man, I'm a slacker, right? Because all I want to do is, I have it in my morning formula. All I want to do is work no more than 20 hours a week and spend the rest of the time with my family or outside or hanging out or getting better. I don't know. But all I want to do is a 20-hour work week, and that's a lot. Way more than Tim Ferriss would like. But I see this guy, Ben, he's productive. I've worked with him for years. I want to try that. And so he teaches me his note card system. And this is how he does it. He's got a 3x5 note card, and he just writes out what he needs to get done for the week or for the day on the card, and just goes about checking things off. I think, man, that sounds simple. I can do that because I'm used to having a journal and overthinking and gratitude and planning. And I'm like, yeah, let me try this. Maybe that's why he's so productive, because he's just got a note card. He's not spending so much time planning as he is doing. So I tried it out. Within a week, it's like the walls are falling down on me. Nothing's getting done. This note card is just looking at me, taunting me, and I can't seem to get motivated. I don't know what the heck is going on in my business. But the thing I changed was this freaking note card. Ben's system may work for him, but it did not work for me. And so when we're talking about living the dream, you got to be careful who you listen to. You got to make sure that they have similar goals, that they have similar dreams, that they have a similar personality. Because if you look at Ben doesn't have a family, doesn't want a family. He just wants to walk his dog on the beach. I like the idea of walking on the beach with the dog. That's cool, but that's not me. And so when you're looking to get better, when you want to live that dream, you have to be careful who you listen to. You got to check them out. You got to see if their values align, if they're indeed good people that are worthy of you emulating them. And even if they are, maybe still their goals and what they're looking for in life is not the same as yours. So that's why you got to watch who you're listening to. So let's move on. Have you ever heard of this circadian rhythm thing? I'm just studying up on it, so I don't know a lot about it. But the basic idea is that we all have certain rhythms by light and day. And in order to be more productive, to be happier, to be healthier, we should get in tune with our circadian rhythms and live our lives that way. And this sounds great. Sounds awesome. I'm all about getting better. So I've got this, he's actually a host, another host. I guess I'm talking about everybody on the Podcast Factory today. Anyways, his name is James Pollard. His show is Financial Advisor Marketing. And he is a guy, one of my friends laughs, and he calls James the Ben Settle for financial advisors. So yeah, they're similar in the way they talk, and they're also similar in their work ethic. And so Apparently, these are the kind of people I attract here at the podcast factories, hard workers who want to kick ass and take names. Anyways, that's besides the point. James and I worked together on his show, and I was fascinated when he started talking about circadian rhythms and how all that plays into how productive you are, how the sleep you get really determines the kind of day you're going to have, which it's common sense, I guess, but if you don't sleep well, you're going to be pissed off and grumpy all day. At least most people are. And I'm right there with you. I thought for a while I only needed 6 hours of sleep, but I'm starting to rethink that. Anyways, so yeah, back to James. I'm getting off the point here. He was talking about circadian rhythms and working your day around that so that you're more productive. And he recommended a book, The Power of When, which I've only read part of. I'm still reading it because I'm fighting these circadian rhythms, which is what we're going to talk about. But The Power of When, it's a cool book, and you take a quiz and find out what kind of animal you are. And there's bears and there's lions. But they all have different circadian rhythms and are more productive different times of the day. So James turned me on to this whole idea, and I was like, yeah, this sounds cool. I'm down for a change right now. I'd love to get more out of my day. This sounds awesome. So I'm going to try it. But knowing what a big change it was, I put a time limit on it. I said, I'm going to try this for 30 days. See how I like it. And if it works, I'll keep doing it. If not, I will not do it anymore. And so, yeah, I went about trying it. I took the quiz, and I was, I think, a lion, and I'm supposed to get up at a certain time, 5:30, and then I'm supposed to eat something within the first 30 minutes of waking up, and then do some important work. I thought, hey, yeah, that sounds good. All that sounds good. It changes what I usually do. I might wake up at 3:30 or 5:30, depending, and just do my morning formula and go to the gym. But sure, let me try this out. The results were ridiculous. Whatever was going on, I brag about wanting to work a 20-hour work week, but there was just something when I changed my rhythm that I was able to work 6, 8, 10-hour days, get things done, and just crush it. Thought, man, this is serious. And then, as I kept going, things started to fall apart. Sure, I could get those 6, 8, 10-hour days and crush it and get a lot done, but I wasn't getting my workouts. I wasn't getting my family time. And I wasn't getting any happier. In fact, I was pissed all the time. Cupcake was afraid to talk to me. Hudson couldn't come around me because I was so damn grumpy. Again, another failed test. But what I had learned from the last time was I could just keep doing it and think that maybe I was doing it wrong or something, but I put a time limit on it. I put it 30 days, and the first couple weeks, if I just went by the first couple weeks, I would have been like, damn, this is awesome. I'm getting more work done than ever. But into the third and fourth week, I was starting to hate life. I didn't enjoy my days. I was angry, and I didn't know why. And so this is something that when you're trying to live the dream and you're trying to upgrade your life, yeah, you have to get influences from outside. That's absolutely necessary. You have to watch who they are and make sure that they're worthy of listening to. But you also have to look at what you're doing and see how it's affecting you. And the best thing I can tell you, better than anything, is, yeah, experiment. But you gotta limit your exposure. Get some feedback and figure out if this is working for you. So most people, if you overcommit, then you're going to burn out and die, hate life. If you don't change on the path that you're on, you're either not going to grow or you're going to be in pain forever. That's why we need change in life. You just got to make sure that you limit your exposure and you look at what's going on and make sure that you're on the path to your happiness. Speaking of being happy, you know what would make me really happy right now? If you went to wherever you listen to podcasts, I don't care if it's on Google, Stitcher, or iTunes, wherever it is, iHeartRadio, wherever you're hearing me, wherever you're listening to this, wherever you're tuning in, go there and subscribe. Smack that subscribe button. Give me a high five on being happy by smacking that subscribe button. Let's get back in there. Originally I was going to call this the 3L framework for living your dreams, but it's so freaking boring. I almost used a bad word. If Huddy were here, he'd say, "Bad word, daddy. Bad word, daddy." Almost, but not quite. 3L framework to living your dreams. There's got to be a better name, but the reason was because we talked about listen. Watch who you're listening to. We talked about looking at the results, looking at where you're going. And the last part of it is live. In living the dream, you must live, or else it doesn't work. The whole thing breaks down. And I talked earlier about this, is how do you know that what you're hearing is right? There's only one real way to know what's right. It's what's right for you. What is your dream? Have you decided on what you want? And this is something that I see all the time. Ask people what they want. I get this on calls when I'm doing calls for the Podcast Factory agency. And I ask people what they want, why they want it, what they want. And they can't tell me. They don't know. They want to make an impact. But what's that do for you? It makes me feel good. Great. So why do you want to feel good? And they can't answer. Usually it comes down to they want to make more money. Okay. The ones that get down to that answer, I can usually help. But the rest of them, not really. But yeah, you got to decide on your dream. Like I told you about my plumber buddy. Was he really living his dream? I doubt it. But if I were to ask him what his dream is, would he be able to tell me? If I were to ask you right now what your dream is, what you imagine your future to be, would you be able to tell me? If you can't, that's great. This is a time right now to be aware that you need to do something about it. So I talked earlier a little bit, and I might actually talk about this on the next episode. So I don't want to go too deep into it, but I do this thing in the morning when I wake up, get out of bed. I empty the dishwasher, make coffee, and then I do something called my AM formula, the morning formula. I learned this from the smartest guys in marketing. How about that? So 3 shows mentioned today over at the Podcast Factory for you to check out. But I learned this working closely with Chris and Taylor at Traffic and Funnels, aka the smartest guys in marketing, is this idea of a morning formula. And this is something where you've been programmed all your life, whether you want to admit it or not. You've been programmed by the television shows you watch, the movies you watch, the commercials you see, by, most importantly, and it's not their fault, they didn't know any better, your parents. You've been programmed by them. And actually, some of the programming is okay from your parents, but most of it isn't. Unless you had really awesome parents like me and Cupcake. Yeah, I think that you've been programmed and you have a certain set of beliefs, and whether they're serving you or not, I don't know. That's something that you have to figure out yourself. But I found that when I realized that I was programmed and what my programming was from my parents, that it maybe wasn't the best programming, so I started reprogramming myself. And one of the ways that I do this daily is with my morning formula, is where I have a vision of what my future looks like. So when I asked you if you knew what your future looks like, I can tell you my vision right now. I don't know if it's perfect, but I'm in a penthouse over here in Orlando in the same building I'm in. It's facing the lake, and I've got a big outside patio, and I know the unit number that I want even. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's got the view I want. And then I've got my son there, and I've got my wife there, and we have family and friends visit us there. And it's just a wonderful place where we have fun. And I wake up in the morning and look over the city, and I think how lucky and how grateful I am and how much harder I want to work so that I get to keep all of this. See that level of visualization? That's only one part of it. I didn't even get into the Park City side of the whole thing. But how many of you can describe your dream like that? I'm telling you, that's the level. And I'm just starting at this, so I'm not even that great at it. But you have to decide on your dream, because if you don't, your dream will be decided for you. All right? So you gotta make sure you got to plan, you got to visualize, you have to know, and you have to believe that you can achieve it. So yeah, next time we'll talk more about the morning formula. I think that'll be fun. Let's do a quick recap. You want to live the dream, you got to know what the dream is, your dream, what your dream is. So 3L framework to living the dream, you think I'll keep that? First, listen. Watch who you're listening to. Make sure that their values line up with yours, their goals line up with yours, that they've been where you want to be. And when you listen to them, you have to look at your results. Don't overcommit. Don't undercommit either. But look at your results and see if they're getting you what you want. And last but not least, if you're going to live the dream, make sure it is your dream. Figure out what your dream is and then visualize it just the way I described part of mine. And you'll be well on your way to living your dream. Yeah, so next time I didn't realize I was going to get into this, but we're going to talk about programming and reprogramming yourself so that you can live a better life. That's in the next one. Thank you guys for tuning in to Daddy's Working. And remember, go wherever you listen to podcasts and hit subscribe so that you do not miss another episode of Daddy's Working. Next week, how to reprogram yourself for better results.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.